Yeah, cool.
That's perfect.
So that's what the standard. Oh yeah,
Both
okay.
of the statement. Both of the statement.
Is that okay now?
That's lovely. Thank you. That's no reasons. That's cool. That's sadly. And if the parents are struggling with some of the girls, they should come to people like us. Like we literally should make it our business because they're not like our business, but it's our business to help these girls.
Yep, makes
because
sense.
honestly, we've helped a lot, and I've seen how our input does save families.
That's what we want to
I
share
went down.
today.
We got a girl back last week. You know what I mean? Got her. She was home, and now we're making sure we keep an eye on her so the family don't take the milk with her again, so she don't feel the need to run off again.
How often do you run your radio show?
Every week.
Is it once a week?
Once a week, yeah. So my show is every week, yeah.
Oh, your show?
Yeah.
But the radio's on all the
Yeah, it's we're live now, so yeah. Assalamu alaikum everyone, we're just about to go live in a few minutes, so just bear with me whilst I get my coordinates and everything ready. Hope you're enjoying the weather and the football as well. What a great start to England on Sunday. Assalamu alaikum, good evening everyone, my name is Mr. Ali and it is Tuesday evening, it must be 8 to 9 p.m. and we are hitting the airwaves as always with the Community Wellbeing Show coming to you from the studios of Radio Aapki Awaaz from the heart of Birmingham in Alum Rock. I hope you're all well. I hope you're keeping safe. And as always, I'd like to start off my show by sharing with you the latest COVID dashboard for Birmingham. And hence, over the last 3 weeks now, we are seeing a lot more COVID cases because of the Delta variant, also known as the Indian variant. So please, if you are working in the following wards, please pay particular attention because there are increased numbers, starting with Bromford and Hodge Hill, which has 60 cases per 100,000 population, followed by Small Heath, which has 52, and then jointly in third place, Warden and Alum Rock, which has 51 cases per 100,000 population. In terms of how we're faring across the whole city, there has been an increase of 79 cases per 100,000 population, and 90% of these new cases are all of the Indian variant as well. And in terms of where we are with the vaccine, at the moment, anyone that is over 23 and above can now and be eligible for having the COVID vaccine as well. So for those of you that are anywhere near Alum Rock on Friday and Saturday on Anthony Road, the Saltley Adult Education Centre, from 9:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon without any appointment. You can walk in and you will be vaccinated with the Pfizer jab. So please do take advantage of that. And we have seen, even though we are, as an Asian community, as a Muslim community, we are disproportionately affected by coronavirus. Our COVID vaccine uptake is on average 25% below the overall UK population as well. So that is something to bear in mind. And in terms of where we are, as a result of the increased cases of the coronavirus, especially the Indian variant, there has been now an increase in surge testing in 15 wards, one of which is Alum Rock. So you may have a knock on the door and someone will offer you a lateral flow test. So please do take advantage of that. And also, as a result of the increase in cases, this is why the walk-in COVID centre has now been opened up for 2 days. They are increasing the capacity for the vaccination as well. So as you may have also heard from yesterday's Boris Johnson news, the lockdown has been extended for another 4 weeks. However, if you are getting married, good news for you, you have now no limit on the numbers of people that can be at your walima or at your wedding reception. However, the venue will set your or will be predetermine your numbers, because there can be only 6 people per table, and obviously the bigger the venue, the more people that will be allowed. And in terms of today's topic, I'm very excited to be broaching this topic, because I do feel as a Asian community, as a Pakistani community, even a Muslim community, we are very shy and we're very backward in actually talking about these very sensitive topics about why young people, especially girls, that are running away. What are the pressures? What are the challenges that they are facing that leads to them taking the almost, very extreme decision of running away from the nice, humble home that they're living with within a loving family as well. So please, if you've got any experiences, if you've got any cases that you want to share with us anonymously, then please by all means do so through our social media platform. Alternatively, if you want to dial in, the studio number is 0121 682 9735. So please do dial in. And today I have none other than Aysha, Iqbal and Noorun, Begum, who have come into the studios to give us a more of an expert insight into what is actually going on, and they've obviously got some case studies that they are going to share with us, but please do listen and join in as well. So walaikum salam everyone as well. So first of all, both of you, a warm welcome to the humble studios of Radio Awaaz. I hope you're doing well. So let's get to the the nitty gritty and to the meat of the bow, should we say, with regards to this topic. I know it's about young people running away from home, so we are going to discuss boys and girls, but I think from my experience, it is more young girls that are running away from home, and we're going to sort of delve into this particular topic. So first of all, let's generalize as to why boys and young girls are running away from home. What are some of the pressures that young people? I know I'm now sort of in my mid-40s, so I can't relate to how the young people are now under pressure, because when I grew up there was no social media, there was no sort of peer pressure about looking good or being in the right sort of circles and so on, but now it's a completely different minefield, shall I say. So over to you really. Before we even start, do you want to maybe give an introduction of who you are and what's your sort of organisational background into this particular field?
So my name's Aysha Iqbal, and we're from Adara. We're a support network for the community as well as a social housing and training provider. We've been in this field for over 15 years, and we've seen a lot, we've experienced a lot, and we can definitely share an insight of why young people are feeling the need to leave home. Fantastic.
And Noorun?
My name is Noorun and I'm a support worker for Adara. Also, I do legal assistance and I work for the NHS as a health advisor.
Oh wow!
Fantastic. So, but I joined this job as a passion to help people. I think there's not much empathy out there. It's become like a robotic role. You need people to understand you and actually feel what you're going through. And that's why I reached out to do this job.
Yeah, a lot of empathy and listening as well, in terms of some of the issues that they are facing. So I don't know if you're able to share with the listeners in terms of, do you think anecdotally, or whether you've got any research to back it up, is there been an increase in the number of people that are running away since the start of the pandemic? Because obviously, as you know, a lot of people have been made furlough, or they've lost their jobs, so the children were at home, the mother and father were at home, so within a normal 3-bedroom terraced house, it's a real sort of a hot cooker really, where everyone's under pressure, financial pressures, people are sort of living in sort of a closed environment where there's overcrowding. Have you seen any kind of an increase in the number of people that are running away from home in the last sort of 15 months or so?
I would say yes. We've definitely seen an increase of people who need housing services. Now, sometimes it's not even just the women. It is affecting a lot of people living at home. Obviously, we specialise working with women, and we've seen that there has been an increase in the abuse. So domestic violence is a sort of a similar but different topic, because there can be domestic violence within a family home as well, but we've had a lot of domestic violence between partners, so women leaving due to that reason. But yeah, we have also seen young people struggling at home, but it's not something we've seen just in the pandemic, because we've been doing this work for many years. We've seen that it's actually a reoccurring issue unfortunately in our Asian community.
I have covered domestic violence previously, and I've had very should we say, one-sided comments really, that why are you focusing on always the women being the victim? And we know about 20-25% of cases are also woman, the female partner, doing the emotional, the physical abuse to the male partner as well. So it is not one-sided, but I think let's look at the overall majority. When we are talking about domestic violence, it is male on female as well. But let's not talk about the domestic violence. We're going to focus on young people really, as to some of the pressure. So So, in the last couple of weeks, there's been about 3 cases. There's a young girl from Small Heath, there's a young girl from Walsall as well. There's also a couple of young people that I know, boys who have also run away from home, but that was more from intimidation from gangs, because they were in the county lines, so rather than any other undue influence that they were under. So without sort of obviously focusing on these 2 examples of the young girls in Walsall and Small Heath, why do young girls feel that they have to take this? For me, it's quite an extreme step, running away from them. I wouldn't even dream of it even when I was young. But obviously, they must be under enormous pressure for them to sort of make that step. But why do you think, over to you, Noorun, actually, why do you think that they would run away from home? What is it not right at home, or do you think it's the external pressures that they are facing that they are running away?
It's a mixture of so many things. There's peer pressure,
yeah.
There's a cultural pressure, there's a religious pressure, there's family pressure, siblings. There's a lot of things that are involved, and there's a lot of bullying going on. There's a lot of, unfortunately, in many Asian families, boys tend to have an upper hand more than girls, and that does cause quite a rift. So the girls feel like they're abandoned. They don't feel part of the family. In that sense, they want to leave. They feel suffocated. They don't have an outsource. The parents are not educated. The parents are quite old school, majority of them. And that's one of the reasons why the girls are finding the help outside or encouragement outside, and they're leaving.
Well, come on, pick on that point that you made with regards to suffocation. Being from a family of 6 where we were 5 brothers, or really we are 5 brothers, 1 sister. I know with my father, he was especially cautious with his daughter, and he was a bit overprotective in the sense, obviously, you have to be here by a certain time, where we had a bit more leeway, and we just assumed that, because obviously being the female, he was just protecting her really. But obviously, you being a woman, did you feel as though there was double standards, or did you understand why maybe an elder brother or the mom and dad were asking you to sort of come a bit more early, or sort of asking you to maybe sort of dress a bit more conservatively, or maybe if a boy's smoking, that's almost acceptable, but not quite for the female? So there are double standards, I accept that, but could you understand that they were doing it out of whatever limited way, but they're genuine caring for yourselves?
It can be taken either way. Sometimes it depends on how you approach a person. So some people are really strict, and like you say, if you pull a rope too tight, it tears apart. And that's what happens with the girls of this generation. The strictness is overbearing, and when they see freedom of others, they want that, they wish for that. And then when they get an encouragement outside, if you're getting support outside and you're not getting the support at home, which one are you going to take?
Yeah, it's a difficult one there, actually. And Aysha, I suppose at the moment with, our parents maybe not conversing, or English is not their first language, whereas for us, our younger generation now, all they can do is speak English. They can only understand our Mirpuri or Urdu language now. So there's a real cultural, or maybe even a language barrier, and we're not exactly a very open society really, where we can go to our parents, or I certainly couldn't, and I don't know whether it's changing now for the younger generation, where they can go and speak to their mom or their dad about their feelings, about some of the problems they were facing. We just built, just sort of coped with it ourselves, or told our sort of, maybe our uncles rather than our parents. But what is there an element of truth to that? Do you think there's maybe language barriers? There's maybe we are a very closed shop, because that word izzat, almost sort of punishes us every day, and we try to sort of live through the eyes of other people rather than our own lives.
Yeah, I would definitely say the what you just mentioned about lack of a communication barrier is caused because of a language barrier. So if there's miscommunication, people aren't young people aren't able to express themselves. There's a lot of issues with lack of support as well, because the parents might think, you've got a house, you're being fed, what's the issue? But obviously, we've got the society right now, it's in a very emotional state. So if people's emotional needs aren't met and they're not being listened to properly and appropriately, they're going to just go and speak to others. And like Noorun already mentioned, there's outside influences now. In a lot of times what we've seen with the girls, there is boys involved, or men, not even boys, they're men. And if they were really any good for those girls, they wouldn't be expecting them to run away.
Yeah,
That's the first sort of issue, because it's not just the girl running away. She's, sometimes we have seen cases girls are just leaving for themselves and only for themselves, and they're left alone. So it's not always a man, but we have seen in many cases that there has been grooming involved. Men who are maybe lying to, they've got a full family at home,
Yeah.
and then they'll be lying to this young person to say that they're only for them, and they'll leave on that trust, thinking that they've got this whole lovely life that they're about to leave for. But actually, when they leave, it's not like that. And then the fear of actually trying to get out of that again and go back to the same family who you ran away from. It's just it really does, unless there's a middleman or there's someone in between, like
to mediate.
We've mediated and we've intervened in the past where we were asked to. We've had parents come to us to ask for help, and we've been able to resolve, or at least set up some mutual sort of grounds where they can still communicate. So I think that's really important. But if you haven't got that, I do really feel for the families who don't know where to go.
Yeah, I just want to sort of pick on the point that you made with regards to men versus young girls. So, am I assuming that you're talking about fully fledged men, so maybe over the age of 20, trying to groom girls that are below the age of 16, or are we talking about girls over 16 now?
Well, lucky enough, I haven't seen anyone under 16 in my in obviously in the foster service. I saw a lot of that. It does happen, unfortunately. We have groomers, we have paedophiles out there. That's a whole different topic we should raise awareness on.
Sure.
And that comes under child abuse. However, you've got abuse, which is domestic abuse. That's emotional abuse. Sometimes the girls are financially being abused. Sometimes they're being blackmailed. And they've got all these sort of issues, and they don't know how to tell the parents. We had a case where a girl was being blackmailed by a guy, and she left on her own just to get away from the shame before the videos get to her parents.
Oh, wow.
And that's horrible. Actually, her parents will probably really, feel bad to find out that's happened to their daughter. But instead of asking them for help, she ran away from them. And then, and then lucky enough, we were able to help them understand what happened to her. But, there's just so many issues, but I just don't want to miss out, because some of my girls have actually asked me to.
No, we've got a full hour, so don't rush. We're here until 9 o'clock, so we've got plenty of time. Just want to pick up that point about, the using of social media to maybe try to blackmail someone that we're going to share and forward some explicit or compromising photos of of one individual or a girl. Because there was a report out last week whereby it was stating that 95% of school girls now have reported that they have been a victim or suffered some sort of sexual abuse at school, which I just found horrific. 95%, that's almost 100%. And this is obviously people sort of, name calling, maybe touching inappropriately, and most commonly was, asking for, should we say, compromising pictures. And some girls, very naively at that age, do it because, obviously there's flattery involved and maybe even persistence or maybe intimidation, and they do send it, and then once you've got it, then they are victims to further, blackmail, and they may sort of do further acts or become victims. And I just find that staggering, really, that nowadays everyone has a mobile phone, and we take sort of pictures, and we sort of share messages quite openly. So I can really imagine that, and I would imagine a lot of girls or people are under that sort of pressure whereby they are compromising pictures of them who someone else has got and are being blackmailed, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially, whatever it may be.
It is unfair, and it's a tactic of bullying, coercion. It affects them mentally. So this is where mental health comes in big time.
Yeah.
So mental health does affect these youngsters, whereas our Asian parents are not fully aware of what mental health is.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is what they need to be educated on, and they need to have more. I think communication is the key nowadays. With communication, speaking to your child, if you're going to be taboo about it, you'll lose that. And if you open up, as much as it's hard, if you don't want to lose them, just open up to them, talk to them, express how you feel, and maybe they just need that.
Noorun, it's much harder than, you said it quite sort of blasely, really. But it's much harder to put it into practice because, when I was growing up, we didn't really, you mentioned the emotional intelligence. What's that in an Asian family? We didn't experience it, we didn't know what it was. As far as my father was concerned and mum was concerned, as long as we were fed, as long as we were clothed, they felt that they'd done their responsibilities. Obviously, make sure that we, educated and went to university, and then we done our job, and then obviously get us married. But when you start opening up your feelings and you mention emotional intelligence, this is a completely new environment. So you can imagine how I am as a father. I'm not as bad as, or should not, that's the wrong word. I would say I'm not as sort of, conservative as my father, but I'm not as open as some of my sort of, I would say my sort of, suburban middle class families, maybe in Southern Coalfield. So there's a lot more for us to do. So I'm still very, regimented. I'm still quite strict with my 2 children, and I'm hoping. I know there's a gap, and I know I need to sort of work on it. But there's still, and I think I'm quite a modern sort of looking, sort of forward kind of guy. But I could imagine sort of your typical sort of person living in Alum Rock, Small Heath, and Balsall Heath. I don't know, without stereotyping. There's we got a lot of work to do, haven't we?
I'm quite a modern parent as well, and I have a young son, 13-year-old. So he's going through that teenage phase.
Yeah.
So for me, we grew up very taboo. Like we couldn't. I have older brothers, no sisters. So for me to express, I always grew up like it's shut 'em. You can't say this. You can't say that. You can't do this. But I wanted to break out of that with my son and be able to talk to him, or find someone who can communicate with him. If I find it embarrassing for a certain subject, then I speak to my friends, my colleagues, ask them for advice, like what's the best way for me to communicate with him, because he's a growing teenager. I've seen what's going on out there. I want to protect him, but I don't want to hide him from what the reality of the world as well.
I think that's I'm just going to go through some of the comments, guys. So the student number is 0121 682 9735. If you want to ring in, call in, and then you can speak to Aysha and Noorun yourselves as well. So Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Hope you're well. Wa alaikum salam, Mukhtarim. Hope you're okay. Javed, how are you? Wa alaikum salam. Very good. And then moving on. Assalamu alaikum. Payamin, how are you? Hope you're well. Thank you. And okay. Here we are. Our community imports brides from back home. That's one way of putting it, by the way. I think the word import, brother Javed, I think we can be a bit more PC on that respect and show. Anyway, and there seems to be an increase in domestic violence where they are trapped in an unhappy marriage and have no choice but to stay there. This is a cry for help. Yeah, that's right. But we are talking about sort of young people running away from home. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ali and sisters. A very good topic. Indeed, a very sensitive issue. A very complicated one. Absolutely. I think there's multifaceted, multi-layers here. And there's no one answer as to why, young people run away from home. Yasser Sadiq, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. Mental health awareness. Parents need to do a course in. Interesting, Brother Noorun. Maybe give us a bit more what you're trying to get to. So, guys, if you want to share your thoughts, your experiences, then please by all means do so on Facebook, or alternatively, if you want to call in, the student number is 0121 682 9735 as well. I'm just going to sort of touch on the bit about the parents and the dynamic between their children. And sometimes, if you're a bit too lenient with your children, then they can go off, line, because, as you know, I've seen some children. We used to have a sports shop on Coventry Road, and kids were literally hitting their parents, and I was getting frustrated. What are you doing? And, and they were only about 5 or 6, the children were. If you can let them get away with it at this age, imagine when they're 13, 14, what's going to happen. But then at the same time, if you're too strict, and you mentioned about that, when you have elastic band, when you're too strict, at sometimes, it is going to snap. That finding that medium balance is not very easy, because I know sometimes, just again bring it to myself here, when I'm sort of stressed out at work and whatever, and obviously the kids are maybe asking me something, or they're on my periphery, I will snap, I will get frustrated, because I'm under quite a lot of stress, and we are living in tough times. People are worried about their work, their income, obviously the strained relationships between maybe the mother and the father as well, and that's no excuse not to sort of say anything. But do you think that that's a part to play for the kids running away from home, because the cauldron that is a home is not a happy place? and we have to work consciously. So you got to strive to make sure that the four walls of your home are a safe place for your young children, and they can come and be themselves. But that takes work, doesn't it? That takes work. It doesn't happen by accident.
Of course, no one would leave a happy home. No one would leave a happy situation.
No.
They're definitely in any case that I've come across. There are always some sort of similarities, but every case is individual, every story, and there's reasons, but no one's happy. That's why they've left. And you know, there's always a problem that needs to be tackled. And what I find sometimes really, you know, I just find it staggering is that, you know, our parents, I mean, I was brought up by mum, Desi mum and stuff, and I've seen her change her attitude over the years, whereas I haven't seen people change their attitude. I mean, my sister and my brother were arranged marriage, then I got to, you know, I had the freedom to choose. So there was already a difference between us, and there's 8 years between me and my siblings. So the parents have to adapt with the times. Now the problem is where they've got stuck in their, in the old time, time warp, and they're still there, but the kids are from this generation. It's not going to work. What I find staggering is though, how a lot of the Asian parents who have come from back home, and you know, they've come here for our future, for their own future, but then they have to remember you're putting your children out there into a Western society, but you expect them to hold up your cultural norms. And you know what a challenge that is, because we're young people brought up here. We were young people. I wish.
No, we still are.
Yeah.
Young at heart.
Yeah, but when we were young, you know, I know that was a challenge, but I had a lot of respect and a lot of fear for my mum. So that's what kept me on the straight path. Doesn't mean I wasn't exposed. I was exposed to everything around me. You know, I went to all girls school, but I heard everything, saw everything. Girls were being groomed, girls were running away, girls were, you know, doing all sorts. And I didn't get involved just because of the respect and fear of my mum.
Oh, really?
But some people don't have that respect. I'll be honest, I had a lot of respect for my mum because she was a widow and she worked really, really hard. Didn't want to hurt her, didn't want to upset her. That was always on my mind. But a lot of children aren't going to think that if their parents. Because my mum was very cool with me, very understanding, and she was strict. Yeah. And I used to always be like, why can't I go out? Girls all get to, after school, they get to go town, this, that. And she was just like, no way. And as soon as I hit college, she was like, now you get to be who you are. You know, now.
So it's the right time.
Yes, because your age, you're more mature. She was right. You know what I mean? Because and that's what I think. That is your most vulnerable state when you're at that secondary level and you're growing and you've got all these changes in your body and feelings. But you know, I think parents just have to understand. You know, we brought up in Pakistan. It was you know, Bangladesh, India, all similar. You know, and that upbringing is totally different to the environment we've got here. They've got music videos and all sorts of Instagram showing off all sorts of clothes and relationships, and people, these young people they're going to feel things. So you've got to be really realistic when you're bringing your children up in England. I just want people to understand that.
No,
Do you
it's
agree with that, Noorun?
I 100% agree.
None of the real heartfelt sort of sharing of your experience that is.
I got lucky though, alhamdulillah, because my mum changed with the time. But it's for the other people. That's why I'm frustrated for other people who I have to pick up the pieces for, who we have to pick up the pieces for, because it's really hard on us as well as workers trying to mend these broken people. They're broken because then they feel like no one loves them, no one cares about them, they're shunned, they've become alcoholics, their families don't want to talk to them now. But why are they alcoholics? Because you used to send them to pick up bottles for their brother. You know, that's the kind of things that these girls are crying and saying. They used to send me to pick up alcohol for my brother, but now that I'm alcoholic, no one wants to know me. You know, why is she an alcoholic? You know, things like that, and it just really frustrates me.
No, that's, you know, very, you know, I suppose very shocking to me, because you wouldn't even think that you would send your younger sister to go and buy alcohol for, you know. But anyway, like I said, it just shows sometimes how naive and, you know, sort of a cocoon or a bubble that we do live in, and we don't really know what is happening out on the streets and in the wider world. I want to sort of touch back on the sort of the fight between the two cultures. We are from an Eastern culture where, you know, we have you know, different conservative values, especially, you know, that are predetermined by our sub-Indian sort of pseudo-culture, but also our Muslim faith as well, Islamic faith and religion. We are living in a very secular, open society here, and those that are born and bred here, they're, you know, are caught between two clashes and two cultures. where do you fit in? And some people are able to spin the plates and able to sort of fit in and have a mask for different environments. But it's hard work. You can't be your typical sort of how you behave at home in a work environment or maybe at university. And sometimes people do struggle. I know when I was young, and people still do it now, whereby they'll come out. Some people will come out of the house maybe in quite sort of very conservative house, maybe wearing a headscarf. But as soon as they go down the street, they'll take it off and be completely different when they're at college, university. That's perfectly normal. So there's a real struggle, there's a real battle, and I suppose that's where we aren't really accepted, are we? You get sort of jutted from both sides. You're still there's no happy. Do you think there's a happy medium, or do you have to sort of choose the Eastern or the Western way of living?
I think even at the age I am, I live the Eastern life and the Western life, just so that I maintain the respect of the elders, my culture, and my people. But the Western side, I live in a Western society. I work with modern people, but I keep a balance, and it was really hard, and it's everything new is always difficult. It's how you find that balance, and it takes time. And I've had great support. Without the support, I wouldn't be where I am.
From who? Sorry, who's the
support? So I've had great support from my friends, from my colleagues, and for accepting me and my culture and the values that I have. I've had to explain to some of them, but they've accepted it well.
Noorun, you know what? It's that struggle to fit in. When you are growing up, you want to be in that cool gang where, unfortunately, then you have to smoke, you have to drink alcohol, maybe even go into sort of drugs, and then obviously, sometimes you start then going in and forming, physical and sexual relationships as well. There's a real peer pressure, and if and a lot of people do succumb to that, and it takes a real amount of backbone or confidence. And I know your mom was saying, I will let you sort of mature and develop, but once you're able to make those decisions. But when you're 14, 15, 16, and you're impressionable, and someone who's in the cool gang comes and asks you out to ask for your number or whatever it may be, what the young people do nowadays, you could be really flattered by that, and you'll give your number and you start dating and whatever it may be, and I think where does that confidence come from when you were 14, 15? Because I know at 14 I couldn't, I had little or no confidence. But that comes with age and with maturity and with experience, and you said with the right support. So imagine you're a 14, 15-year-old. It must be really tough for them at the moment, growing up with this very fast, very fluid social media life.
I think social media has such a huge involvement.
Yeah.
There's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's Snapchat. So Snapchat filters
TikTok,
one thing.
TikTok. That's the one that
TikTok doesn't have any filters. So I've kind of banned my son from
Sorry,
TikTok.
when you say filters, what do you mean?
As in, you can see anything and everything.
Oh, I see.
It's not filtered, age sensitive, nothing.
Yeah.
And I really don't approve of that, especially for young teenagers. And they're getting influence, or they want to be that person. It's such a battle these days with teenagers.
And I had TikTok. It was actually my daughter, who's only 10. She downloaded it on my phone and so started watching it. And very addictive. I was on there for maybe an hour, and you don't realise it. There's all this stuff just going, you're flicking. And within about a week, I just deleted it, because what I saw was that my daughter was obviously copying some of the dance moves, and that's right. Yeah, you copy the dance moves. She started speaking in an American accent and all sorts. And I thought she's only turning very impressionable, so I've deleted it now. But obviously now that's the craze now. A lot of people have got accounts who have got access to TikTok. People have their own phone. People as young as 7, 8, 9, they've got these iPhones or Samsung, and they could be seen and watching everything.
How much are you going to micromanage them? That's the question. How much are you going to manage them and keep an eye on their phone, their tablet, their YouTube, monitoring everything? It's really hard. Even all these games, you've got adults going onto their games and influencing youngsters.
Yeah.
So it all relates.
So I suppose that what you're trying to see is don't sort of complain about the symptom. Go for the root causes, really. And I suppose ideally, if I was a good parent, I should have really sat down with my daughter, had a good old conversation about it. Say again?
Yeah, to why it's not good.
Yeah, that's right. Rather than
Explain everything.
yeah, rather than just doing the dad old thing. All right, that's it now. You've had enough. I'm deleting this, which I did.
But then, and she's oblivious to why you done that.
Yeah,
She doesn't know.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I always think that it's also totally gone blank then. I had a really good point to
Oh,
make.
really? Oh,
yes.
that's always
What
the
was
case.
it? It was to do with the TikTok and social media stuff. Even the influence of that, and then not being able to do half the things, not being allowed. Yeah, it was about explain things to them. That's what I'm saying. Just break it down to your children why things are good and why things are not. They'll understand.
Yeah.
You know, they can understand how to use all these tablets. They'll understand these basic ethos. And you know, I've done the same with my child, and I do think he's emotionally quite understanding. Like it's one of his qualities.
Maybe it's easier for women and mothers to do it.
Not really. It's how you have a banter with your children, and you can.
Yeah. I'll talk about football all day. Not a problem. I'll talk about.
Then use the tactics of a football to explain to your child.
Yeah. No, I do that when it comes to getting trust and talk about knife crime and that sort of stuff. But I think I need to use that technique with my own children as well, I think. But yeah, so guys, we're just halfway through the show. We've got about another 20 minutes. We're just going to read through some of the comments as well. A lot of comments coming through. Kids have been under a lot of pressure since lockdown. I agree with that. This is a very important issue. Mental health awareness and stress management is very important in our busy Asian lifestyle, and we have a very diverse culture, and we need to understand our children. Absolutely. I think that's a key word, brother Amin, is understand. You know, and even just to understand the environment that they're growing up in. Very fast, very fluid, and things are changing. You can be best friends with one person one day, and the next day because you may have said something on social media. I know there was some article in the newspaper whereby someone had either kicked someone out from a WhatsApp group or didn't let them in, and the next day when they saw them at school, and these are girls now, they're not sort of boys, there's about 20 of them beating that one person up.
Oh, that's awful.
And it was just over because of being in a WhatsApp group. But walaikum salam. The problem is much wider, as modern day society is a threat to young children. Social media, parents have lost a lot of authority. Children overpower their parents, threaten them with. So this brother's now going the other way around. So it's the power of young children over their parents, threaten them with social services, police, etc. Parents also need support in such cases. Absolutely, the situation is very bad. Boys and girls, not just girls, grooming, absolutely counting lines. We're going to touch on counting lines actually, Brother Javed. Technology takes over our kids' lives, absolutely. Young kids have all the latest technology. I had nothing, just played with football, cricket, and played with my marbles.
Can I just say?
Yes,
sorry. Who gave them all those things though? Do you know what I mean?
No, that's right, yeah.
Who didn't tell them that they can't overpower them?
Yeah, and you know what? It's you tend to sort of buy these sort of gizmos, shall I say, because you want them just to sit in the corner, be quiet, just to sort of keep them sort of stunned for a bit, and then when they're on it too much, or when they're using it for from our point of view negative sort of reasons, then you sort of start worrying, and then worrying about when the horse is already bolted, then you start worrying about what can I do, and by that time, unfortunately, it's lost. Gaz Butt, salam and good evening everyone. Walaikum salam, sister. Shabab Nazar, how are you? Okay. We need more family time with our families. Yeah, I agree with that actually. The old sort of time where we used to sit together and spend sort of dinner together or watch TV together, that's gone. I've seen, how many photos have you seen now whereby you got 4 people with phones, they're all just busy with their phones, there's no conversation at all. And there's stories now whereby the son and daughter are upstairs, and if they want anything from downstairs, they'll phone or they'll text their mom and dad, so like, oh, can you bring this up?
I just ignore my son.
Oh, so he doesn't do it?
He comes to me, yeah.
Yeah, wow, there we are.
Try it, but you don't allow it.
I don't allow
now,
it.
that's the thing, the parents allow it until they can't take it no more, and then they're like, oh, it's the kid that's the problem. But who taught that child everything? It's only yourself. I'm not saying you're to blame everything your child does, but
it's about balance though.
Yeah, but if you instill those morals and those ethics hardcore from the start, without strictness, but with logical explanations, the child wouldn't have no choice but to respect you. And I feel that's why I held up respect for my mum. And she did do it different with me to how she did it with my brother, and it went very wrong for my brother, bless him. And you know, for my sister, and she's fine, but she did it different for all of us. And you know,
and do you think that, you know, when you have the first, maybe the son or daughter, and the second one, but when you have the youngest children, you're a bit more relaxed with them, and you're a bit more the relationship, certainly within my family, the relationship is a bit more open with the parents and the younger children. Do you think?
Yeah, my siblings always looked at me and said, we'd never get away with this.
Yeah.
Mum would never let us do this. And
Whereas I was
what?
the opposite. I was the youngest. I'm the only daughter and 4 older brothers. Whereas I had the full
Suffocation.
Yeah. I have a brilliant relationship with all my siblings now, my family, alhamdulillah. But as I was growing up, I see the girls doing this, the girls doing that. I wasn't allowed, and I never understood them. I knew they were being protected, but I think what I wished for back then was more communication of explaining to me why, and spending that time. Okay, if I can't do it with them, let's do things as a family.
Yeah.
Sure.
So back then, you know, the girls are seen in my generation, about 10-15 years ago, it was seen as like just doing the house, being the house girl, cooking, cleaning, looking after things.
That's a lot of resentment there, isn't there, and frustration that, you know, why am I treated differently, and not even valued, I suppose. That's the key word, isn't it? You're almost invisible. Moving on to county lines. Thank you, Simi. How are you? Okay, please by all means contribute if you've got anything to share with us on the show. It's about county lines. You know, I suppose we have to change our mindset in the sense that, you know, well, I certainly think that, you know, anyone with drugs, it is more of a male or a boy problem. But I can imagine that, you know, now it doesn't differentiate, you know, whether you drink alcohol, whether you smoke drugs, you know, fags, maybe even some of these new chemicals. You know, I've seen those sort of bullets, I call them, on the street.
The laughing
Nitrous
gas.
oxide, the laughing gas.
gas.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when I used to be a science teacher about 15 years ago as well, so I have a bit of exposure of some what, you know, young people get up to in school. But now, like I said, I think, especially now, with women thinking that I'm just as good and equal as a boy. You know, if he's smoking, I can smoke. Equal rights. There's no
It's very normalised nowadays.
It's very normalised, yeah. So again, I'm a bit sheltered in that sense, but the impact now of drugs, and I know a lot of people do want to get their victims, shall I say, if that's the right word, onto drugs, because then you can control them. You know they got to spend money. Yeah, they become dependent. You got to spend money, and you may be the source of that supply. And then obviously that leads to much more stuff. And now they're using young boys and girls to be their mules across the county lines as well. And you know, nothing comes for free. All of a sudden you may be addicted to the drugs, but also you may be financially dependent on them, and becomes too much, and you may end up sort of obviously becoming maybe a sex worker or being abused sexually. You may even have to then run away from their violence as well. You know, these are sort of again a world that, you know, we're not familiar with, but this is, you know, a dark environment we have to uncover.
Yeah.
Which is what we're trying to work on.
Yeah.
We work with people who have gone through the situations which you've
Really?
mentioned.
Yeah, serious
And
ones.
it's truly heartbreaking, because some of them, they just say, that's all we know. I asked a woman, what's your dreams and ambitions? What would you like to be? Because nobody's ever asked me that.
Oh, wow.
And that's all she's ever known from a young age. Some of them were groomed by their own family members. So what can you say? It's education.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I would say the elders, either we reach out to them, or they need to find a source where they can privately reach out to and speak to someone in confidence. Because sometimes families hold it in, thinking, oh, if it comes out, then it's going to be, it's to do with the izzat.
Yeah.
Then if there's people out there, we're here to help people, we're here to guide them, we're here to sit as mediators and support these youngsters. There's loads of things that we can do to help them.
Yeah.
Do you think parents or families are willing to reach out and seek help, or are they, like you said, bury their head and thinking, you know what, let's just hope that it will all work out and it'll just go away?
They hope that. They put it under the carpet, and they literally wish that the child never mentions that you know, that
Yeah,
whatever they're asking
yeah.
for. But I have seen cases where if some people know who we are, like as our organisation, and they've told the other person, why don't you talk to them? In that sense, if they've got like a sort of trusted source, they'll come. And I'm sure if a lot of parents, Asian parents, did meet us and our team, they would come to us. But a lot of people don't know who we are and where we are. And you know, the pandemic's just made everyone so closed in and just dependent on their own circle that they don't know that there's help out there.
No, most definitely. And I suppose a lot of times it is a cry for help. You know, we are, you know, because of social media now and everything, we do think that everyone's connected. But you know what, there's a lot of lonely people out there, and there's not many sort of, you know, true friends that you can sort of rely on. And I suppose running away is just, you know, a cry for attention or cry for help. It is difficult out there. Zenith, how are you? Okay, thank you for making the introduction today. So if you've got any valuable information that you want to share with us, then please by all means do so. The other thing I'm going to touch on before the end of the show, we've got about 10 minutes left really, is about also, you know, the girls slightly older, maybe sort of 17, 18, 19, those that are now at that age where the parents are thinking about marriage. For those the good parents will have a open dialogue with their sons and daughters about, you know, this is what we intend for you, for your best interests, and obviously have a two-way dialogue about that. Others, as you know, aren't unfortunately that open and that receptive to having a two-way. It's a one-way conversation. This is what you're going to do. This is where we've got our ideas set, and this is a date. I'm hoping times have changed, and do you think times have changed when it comes to marriage? And sort of that's where the panic sets in, thinking that, oh, I don't want to get married there, or I don't want to go back home and get married, and then young people run away from home. Or do you think that now it is a joint decision? What's your thoughts with your experience?
I mean, forced marriages, I don't think we're ever going to be able to finish them totally, but I don't think it's as severe as it was.
Yeah.
So, you know, taking them off to Pakistan or just tricking them into marriage, it's, I think even, you know, a lot of the parents here know that it's against the law, and, and I think the fear of the breaking the law has helped to calm that down. But pressure of marriage is still there.
I think,
you know, they'll be like, this
yeah.
person's good for you, they're in the family, they're well off and stuff. So I've heard a lot of that, because the family, you know, because the individual does not want to get married, so they're trying everything to convince them. So I've seen that, but I haven't, you know, lucky enough, I have seen the forced marriage thing come down a little in my work, my time. But then there's all these new issues, isn't there now? We've got a lot of new issues.
Like what, sorry?
So I do think that like the influence from outside, I mean, even grooming isn't a new issue, but like even the fact that
it's
mental health, I feel like more people have got depression. I really do feel like mental health has become more severe. I do feel like a lot more of our own community are suffering with it, or actually acknowledge that actually I'm going through mental health. They didn't know what it was before, and I think I just don't want to miss anything good. But you know, the double standards thing that hasn't finished yet. That's more worse of a problem than the forced marriage right now, because you cannot blatantly treat the boys different to the girls, because the girls have been brought up here now. They're going to learn about that everyone's equal in school, and then they come home and it's like, no, you're not. So then they're going to think.
There's real clash of cultures as well, and
it's
you know,
clash of culture and religion.
That's
where we have a big clash now.
No, you know what? I think it's more culture really, certainly with the Pakistani community, whereby, you know, unfortunately we're not very well versed with our faith, which obviously gives us equal rights to women as well as men. But it's our culture that tends to sort of be the overriding factor when we come to decisions. And we'll just come on to the stuff that you said about double standards again. I know I mentioned about, you know, maybe girls are told to come 2-3 hours earlier in the evening before than boys, than their sons, for example. But also when it comes to education, sometimes, you know, I know some parents thinking, oh, you know, we're going to get you married and you don't need to go into further education. We'll stop you maybe at 16 or when you're at college, or even some, you know, sports. That's another example. Obviously, sometimes you have to wear, you know, leggings or, you know, a bit more sort of revealing clothes or tight clothes when you're doing a sport. And the parents are saying no, not when it's open in, you know, closed environment by all means, but when it's out in the, for example, the running track outside, we don't want you taking part, or, you know, swimming as well. That's another example whereby, you know, parents will just close shop. And again, but when it comes to boys, they won't bat an eyelid, they won't say a thing. It is a difficult one, and as a parent, you know, there's no really answer. So sometimes I can see from both sides as well. I don't know what your thoughts about, you know, the 2-3 examples I've just shared.
We have modest wear for everything now. like modest wear has become like such a big thing. There's modest swimwear, there's modest gym wear.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any excuse to hold back the girls. I mean, if that's the case, put them in all girls school.
Yeah, yeah.
I did. I went to all girls school, and then when I got to college, my mum thought I was, I could make my own decision. And it is true. By after 16, you do get a bit more of a, idea of what's right, what's wrong. But there's always a way. There's always a way to protect your children, but still let them have their life.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just going to read out some more comments, really. We need more family time with our families and support our children in all aspects of their lives. In particular, we should take an interest in their education so that they take up all the opportunities that are available to you. Simi, great show. Thank you very much, madam. Zenith, how are you? Great show and great topic. Our community is concerned about their izzat, commonly known as honour. Running away brings shame to the family and will make it difficult for them to get proposals. Yes, they do. Kumran Khan, Salam Mr. Ali, Walaikum Salam. Nice show. They take on holiday and lie to them to get them married. And as sister said, Muhtarim, I think that's what happened maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but maybe not so much prevalent now. Kumran, parents should let their daughter son get married to anyone they want, because they won't be happy inside that they have been forced to get married. Absolutely. Due to the pandemic, services were closed for young people. Like Aysha mentioned, for young people need services like ours to have the awareness that our services need to exist. Working with a school either start. Thank you, Z. Muhtarim, once an egg is broken, you can't fix it. Whatever he means by that. Kamran Khan, whoever makes that person, you could get married. Depends on the family. Yeah, absolutely. So we are sort of coming towards the end of the show. We've got about sort of 5 minutes left as well. So I suppose we want to sort of touch on the support, the help that is available. So for example, if I'm now a young person and I feel as though that I've got little or no choice, whether it's intimidation, whether it's blackmail, whether it's bullying, whether it's drugs, whether it may be even that I don't get on with my own parents. There may be, a lot of reasons why I may be thinking I need to run away from home. Don't know where, got no plan, got a bit of money maybe. I'm thinking, you know what, it'll be all right. It'll be better than what I'm sort of currently facing. And then obviously you got, your own organisation called Udara. So first of all, if you can maybe give out your sort of contact number, but if you can give us an insight in terms of, how you would help the individual. So if a young person is watching now or listening, how would you be able to support them if they are thinking about running away? What would your message be to them?
I would say we'd first start off with an induction with them. So we'd want to hear out what their issues are and see if there is a realistic solution that we can give them. Obviously, keeping them in their placement, hopefully, with their parents, that's probably. But obviously, if we hear, it just depends on what they tell us. Absolutely. So if there's safeguarding concerns, then yes, we would encourage them to move. But if it's nothing severe and it's like a miscommunication or it's just, lack of understanding, then we can resolve things. So we will first work out, is this something that we can resolve? Or is this something that's just not going to work? A lot of the time we get people when it's too late, so the police will bring them, or social services will bring them. By that point, it's not up to us. So at that point, we would accommodate them. We would run a support plan for them. We would identify all their needs. We'll go through physical, mental health, environmental issues that affect them, financial issues. We go through all of that, and we work out an assessment from where we put together a support plan, and then they are met every week by us. We've also got apart from the housing service, we've got an education service, which means young people, if they are feeling trapped and bored and they've got nothing to do and their parents say, look, everything's closed, that's it, stay at home. We've now got opportunity for them to come and train with us, gain experience with us, develop confidence with us, because a lot of the issue is confidence. And if they haven't been boosted up from start, they're going to have low confidence growing up. So we really have helped a lot of young people tackle that as well. We weren't happy at home, and we have been able to bring young people into our environment with a few hours of volunteering, and literally we've seen them grow, and and their relationship improves at home. They're able to stand up for themselves. They're not as not as depressed. So those are the kind of things that we can offer. There's obviously family intervention as well. That's something we could do voluntarily, because it's so important and we don't want people to go through bad times.
Just supporting on the Aysha about the bit about running away from home. People may think that it can't get any worse than being at home. and that the grass is greener on the other side. What would your message be to that particular individual?
It's not greener on the other side. It's difficult because I think, like I said, main advice I would give is communication. If they don't feel comfortable speaking to the family or having someone, then they need to speak to someone responsible and get good advice.
Yeah.
There is genuine help out there, more nowadays than back in our days.
Yeah.
There's so much help out there, there's so many services out there, and they can have that chat and they can build a rapport with them and then build an understanding and then maybe approach the family and try and bring the family together and then find a solution to the problem. There's always solutions to problems.
100%.
It's just having the outsource to help you.
Absolutely. Really interesting show where we've covered a number of issues and a number of challenges that young people are facing, and I hope whether you're a parent, whether you're a young person growing up in this very fast moving society of ours, there is support available. It is not the end of the world. Just think through about the consequences of whatever actions that you are contemplating. So just last few comments before I ask you to sort of give your concluding remarks, please. So I meant whoever makes that person happy, you should. Oh, fantastic! Thank you, Kamran, for clarifying. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, marry whoever makes that person happy. Javed, thank you to the lovely sisters for coming on this program. We salute you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Just
we
keep us in
salute
your
you.
du'as.
Yeah, please do.
Every blessing and rewards to you. That's a very nice gesture, Brother Javed. Thanks for coming in and sharing us your stories, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and give you more.
Ameen.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much.
You've certainly got a bit of a fan club here. Guys, include me in the blessings as well. Anyway, Zinat Akbar, early help, NSPTC, thank you. Barnados and services are there for to also help you. So, ladies, if I can ask you to just to give your last 30-second message really for the young people, whatever problems they are facing, a bit of a message of hope.
I would say just get in touch with us, and even a conversation with one of our support workers, I'm sure will show you all the options that are out there apart from giving up. So it's adara.org.uk. You can find us on there and on our Facebook as well.
And where are you based here in Birmingham?
We're on Hagley Road, and we will be having a community base where people can start coming in again, because we missed that. We really missed that because of the pandemic. We just ended up in an office, but there will be a centre where people can come in and get the help. So we'll share that information with Brother Ali when we're ready.
Absolutely. More than happy. We'll share it in our platform and Sister Noorun.
Yeah, same. If you need someone to talk to, we are here. We've got loads of different outsources we can help with. And I know it's a big trust issue. There is confidentiality, so whatever is said between us and the client, it will stay, and we will do our best to help.
Yeah.
There's always hope. There is always hope.
Thank you so much, Sister Noorun and Sister Aysha, for coming in and really give us a different perspective, really, to an old dinosaur with my conservative views about how young people should be brought up or not. So please, for those of you that are anywhere near Alum Rock on Friday and Saturday, and if you've not had your vaccine for one reason or another doesn't matter, go down to the Saltley Adult Education Centre based on Anthony Road here in B8 between the hours of 9:30 till 3:30, and you will be administered the Pfizer vaccine on a first come first served basis. In the meantime, I am trying my best to get Dr. Justin Varney for next Tuesday. Fingers crossed he will also come in and talk about lockdown and give you a clarity on the rules that were announced by Boris Johnson. Until next week, God bless, look after yourselves and take care of each other.
Allah.